what I do is put things into buckets. Just as real estate agents put their businesses into buckets, that's what I do for the brokerage. So we have a social media team. We have a, office manager. We have somebody that leads up trainings. We have our team leads. And so that's where I come in, and I kind of take this big melting pot and merge them all together. And so everything runs smoothly. And so when you're in the growing phase of a real estate brokerage, which they are, we should double our real estate agents by next year. That was imperative to have.
The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us here today. Oh yeah, show number 493. As always, I like to remind you to go to stewart.com/radio. That's right. That's where you can see and hear the show simply by going to stewart.com/radio. The shows are archived there, and you can see what's happening in the studio. It's super fun and informative at stewart.com/radio. So let's get started. We have a tremendous show today. We're going to start with Jamie Fallon. And she's the director of operations at a company called Next Gen Real Estate. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Bill. Appreciate it.
When I say the name Jamie Fallon, I'm expecting some kind of theme music. There you go. So let's tell people, here you are in the real estate world.
Yes, sir.
The company is Next Gen. Let's tell people about your company.
Next Gen Real Estate is kind of the disruptors of the real estate industry right now. I think people are getting away and brokerages are getting away from the old-timey. Our agents are mainly under the age of 35. They are social media gurus. We have some celebrity real estate agents, and most of them, I would say 90% of them, are just simply stunning. We have 187 agents so far, and our CEO, Julia Wang, she actually has 400,000 Instagram followers. So she's considered an influencer. And so that's the kind of agents that we target because buyers and sellers now are very educated. They know that the market is changing and that everybody buys things now online. And so that's where we're shifting everything is to the online market.
And where's the company based out of? You mentioned the CEO.
Yeah, the company's based out of Houston, obviously. Our CEO lives in the Energy Corridor area. We're kind of in that Spring Branch area off of Echo. So we cover all of Houston. Our agents are all spread out across Houston. And then, of course, I still am doing real estate as well. So I'm the supervisory broker for the agency.
And the director of operations.
Yes.
Let's tell people, because that can mean a lot of things. Because there's so many things about a real estate broker, the things that need to be done correctly.
Right.
It's such a big responsibility, each and every real estate transaction, and you're overseeing this in some capacity. Let's tell people what you do as the director.
Yeah, so as the director, so Julia is kind of our visionary, and I'm the integrator. So every great company is based on visionaries and integrators, as you know. You have to have one person that comes up with these crazy cockamamie ideas, which Julia does. Thank you, Julia. And that are way too expensive. And then I have to go and turn around and bring her in and go, okay, how can we execute this? How can we do it in a way that it's not so expensive? And so what I do is put things into buckets. Just as real estate agents put their businesses into buckets, that's what I do for the brokerage. So we have a social media team. We have a, office manager. We have somebody that leads up trainings. We have our team leads. And so that's where I come in, and I kind of take this big melting pot and merge them all together. And so everything runs smoothly. And so when you're in the growing phase of a real estate brokerage, which they are, we should double our real estate agents by next year. That was imperative to have.
And give us an idea. You mentioned being a disruptor as the agents are helping, say, buyers and sellers? Are they doing anything different? What are the things that they're doing different?
So most real estate brokerages and real estate agents are very they're very controlling over their listings. They don't want anybody to share their listings unless it's them.
Generally speaking,
they want to own the listing. Now at NextGen, what we do is if you've got 180 agents in the brokerage, why wouldn't everybody be sharing those listings? So if I have a $1.2 million listing, all of my agents are sharing those listings. And so we don't have any claim over it per se, so that there's more eyes on the listing. So we're working smarter, not harder. You know, if there's one of me promoting it, that's one thing. If there's 187 of you promoting it, wow, why wouldn't you do that? You know, and then we're very strict about what we're putting out there. You will never see one of our listings without professional pictures or videos. And so it's a whole different ballgame because social media now is the thing.
As far now, you mentioned the price point of $1 million or so plus dollars. What about a listing that's $300 or $500? Same thing.
Yes,
so this applies.
Lisa, anything, commercial, anything that we have.
So you're doing some things to help the listing get more exposure.
Absolutely.
And then what about the buyers? Is there anything you're doing when, let's say I'm a buyer and I said, hey, Jamie, I want to work with you or one of your agents. Describe that experience, if there's any different things or just some of the basics that you're pulling off.
Well, what we're trying to do is create a kind of concierge. So with my personal business with the Jamie Fallon real estate team or realty team, what I do is I have a plethora of either contractors, insurance agents, which, you know, is a big issue. Title companies.
Like
Stewart Title is where I typically take my clients. I get the gold star.
You do.
You know, so I have a plethora of people that can take care of these people. So I know personalities. If that buyer is an engineer, I know I'm going to put him with someone who's very articulate with attention to detail. If I have someone that's more expressive, I might use somebody different for that instance. So that's super important too for buyers, sellers, everyone.
Give us an idea as far as some of the things you've learned about leadership. This is not your first leadership role, but as we grow, we're always learning, and we try to learn. And boy, every week there's something new that I know I've learned that, well, I probably should have learned 10 years ago, but I'm a slow learner. Tell us about some of the things you've learned and you're deploying in your leadership capacity with your company.
Well, I think being a leader, you also have to be a follower, and you have to be quiet. And so when I first started with NextGen, I didn't know their business model. And so I don't think they knew their business. They knew their business model, but they needed to hone it in. And so what I did is I just asked 1,000 questions. And it ruffled feathers at first. I mean, people were like, who's this girl? What is she doing? Why is she asking me so many questions about my job and what I want to do and where I want to go? Because if you have someone in a leadership position and they don't want to be in a leadership position, well, then you've got a recipe for disaster, right? And people quit and they can feed off of that. And so I think the most important thing with being a leader is just listening and learning and leading by example. I'm typically, if I'm there during the day, I'm usually the last one there during the day. You know, I still sell. I still do trainings for my agents. I still answer the phone at 6:30 in the morning. My agents can say, yeah, she's helped me out of a bind. We had a closing at 8 a.m. She answered at 6:30. You know, so there's leaders, there's followers, and you know, I always say lead, follower, get out of the way. And so don't get in my way.
Well, you love what you do, apparently. So
yes.
Let's tell people, as far as you mentioned before we started, about some of the challenges in the buyers and sellers as far as the pricing of insurance. And we talk about insurance all the time on this show.
Yeah.
How is that affecting what you're doing and your agents are doing?
Well, homeowners insurance right now, everybody knows interest rates are up. That's a no-brainer. Insurance rates are up. Interest rates are up. Home prices are up. So right now, if you're a buyer in this industry in Houston and you live and work in Houston and you're not buying a house and you want to buy a house, you better do it now. Because next year, there's so many people moving in from out of the country or out of the state, out of the country. They're taking your place in Texas. So if you're not buying, you need to consider doing it now. Secondly, it's becoming harder for these buyers to buy because insurance rates are through the roof. I mean, just a standard run-of-the-mill $350,000, $360,000 house right now, insurance is $5,000 a year. $5,000. So then your DTI, which for those of you that aren't familiar with the term, that's your debt to income ratio. So that prohibits how much money that person can spend on their home. So houses are rising, insurance is rising, interest is rising. So then we're in a conundrum. So what do you do at that point? What do you do? I think legislation, federal and state legislation needs to wake up. Here's my challenge. Let's go. Well, people want to know.
Well, it's interesting. I know when I look at homes, certain homes in certain areas, really further away from Houston, the less insurance is. So when you're right in these
honey hole,
Katy, Fulshire, and even in the center of the city, it's a little bit more expensive on insurance. And everything's expensive. Bread's more expensive. Inflation is here, so we are having to deal with it and the repercussions through not just the real estate industry, but every industry. However, you're there, the agents are there to help, and the customers and the potential buyers and sellers just need to have that information for now, and we hope that it gets a little bit better.
Yeah.
As far as what are some of the other things you want people to know, Jamie, before we close the segment? By the way, we're talking with Jamie Fallon. She is with Next Gen Realty. Not to be confused with Jimmy Fallon, but Jamie, I heard he listens to the show.
Of course he does.
Of course he does.
I mean, look at us.
Here we are. Why not? So before we close the segment, Jamie, what else do you want people to know?
I just become educated. Educate yourselves. I think that people that don't educate themselves, whatever area of life you're in, I mean, this is a real estate show, but if you're not educating yourself and just in general in your investments, it's time to start doing that, because the longer you wait, you're going to be poor. You're not going to have a home. Why do that to yourself? There's so much information out there.
And as you and your team look ahead for the end of the year, we're pretty much right there. But as you look ahead to 2024, what are the things you're talking about? You still see people coming to the Houston area from out of town and out?
In droves.
So we don't see that slowing down.
It's not slowing down. That's what I'm saying. If you don't buy now, if you don't take care of your business now, you're not going to be able to afford it next year. And when interest rates drop in the fourth quarter in 2024, which they're slating, then we're going to have a feeding frenzy again and be in the same issue we were during COVID.
Be prepared. Jamie, how can people reach you?
People can reach me at Instagram at Jamie L. Fallon, jamiefallon.com, or 281-763-9825. That's 281-763-9825. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us, Jamie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pleasure to be here.
As we continue, let's talk to Sarah Goetz. She is with eXp Realty. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad that you're here. Let's tell people, your company is eXp Realty. Let's tell people a little bit about eXp.
So eXp is one of the fastest growing brokerages in the world, actually. So it has a lot of flexibility, and it's just got a lot of great benefits for people that you can bring in on your team or individually or however you want to work. It's got a lot of flexibility, and it's really great.
So for the realtor, it puts you in a position to do some extra things and some benefits. Let's tell people, as far as if there are buyers and sellers out there, some of the things that eXp does for the buyer and seller.
Well, I go above and beyond for my clients. I'm new at this, so I've only had one buyer, one seller. I've only been doing this for 7 months. So what I've experienced is I just try to really go above and beyond for the clients that I've had and show them the ins and outs of every single aspect of either buying or selling a home.
Well, that's interesting, because real estate, and I don't know about you prior to being a real estate professional, but you've probably seen some real estate shows along the way, and the TV and the various shows sometimes make it look easy.
Oh, yeah, they make it look real easy.
But for real, there's so many things, right?
There are a lot of things, and it's very competitive. I mean, there's real estate agents everywhere. I mean, turn the corner and you see another sign for a real estate agent. So you have to try to do something to stand out, which I'm working very hard on getting there because, like I said, I'm brand new. So I'm trying to really reach out to all kind of different avenues so I can build a name and a brand and a business.
Well, and certainly one of the advantages, I think, that anyone new to the profession is that you have new eyes to look at it. So while you study with those that are tried and true, you actually have the opportunity to think from a new creative position and maybe find some new things to help out buyers and sellers along the way.
Right. Yeah. And I've been trying to do that. And I am on a team. So I do have support from there's 6 of us. So I do have support from my team. And, we're always brainstorming and doing different things and hosting classes for home buyers, for instance, or we market with a community in Richmond, and we go there once a month and host an event for them. So we do different things to reach out and try to, build rapport and relationships with the community.
Well, so far, you're started, say, January, right at the beginning of the year, and you've learned a lot from then till now. What made you choose to be a real estate professional, a realtor right here in the 4th largest city with, like you said, millions of realtors? Yeah. Well, actually 40-some thousand, but anyway.
Yeah, it's actually not that many, but it seems like it is. So I was a stay-at-home mom for 20 years. I raised my children, and my youngest one is now a senior in high school. So I decided that I just needed to go out and do something and mingle with the world a little bit instead of just my kids.
Yeah,
because that's what I've done for 20 years. Like my whole life was my kids. So I just wanted to take a leap and do something different and get back out into the world.
So you took the classes, became an agent, and here you are. Now, as you plan, well, first of all, how excited were you when you got your first contract?
Oh, I was very excited.
Because you're thinking, hey, I've done all this work, and now finally.
Yeah, it took a few months. I got my license the end of January, and I had my first listing the beginning of June. So, yeah, I was really excited.
On the listing at the beginning of June, we've had a different market this year anyway. Now, if you would have started the year before, it would have been maybe crazy. But tell us about the listing in June. How long was that on the market till it sold?
6 days. It was under contract in 6 days.
Well, that's nice. And what was the price point of that property?
It was a little under $300,000.
We're talking with Sarah Goetz. She is with eXp Realty. Well, let's tell people and maybe what you do next year is going to be different, but so far as you have been approaching with the help of the team, the real estate market now, have you been approaching the real estate market geographically, or how's it work?
I do like to stay kind of in my general area, but I also do help people. For instance, my daughter is in Dallas. She's fixing to start looking for a house to buy at the beginning of the year. So, I do go everywhere because I need to go everywhere at this point. But my main focus is really Richmond, Katy, Fulshire, like within a 25 or 50 mile radius from there.
And right now, let's say someone in the Richmond area, we haven't really talked about Richmond for a while on the show, but as far as the marketplace, how are you finding it right now in terms of activity? Because each area has been a little bit different here, and some have been really gangbusters, but
it's really busy, and Richmond is so diverse. You can find a listing in Richmond for $200,000 or $2 million, and up. So there's a lot of different ways you could go. There's a home for somebody in Richmond, for everybody. If you want to come to Richmond, it doesn't matter if you're lower income or very, very wealthy. You can find something that suits your needs.
Sounds good. Well, also, I talk to realtors sometimes that are selling the multi-million-dollar properties, even $10 million, and so they've been on this show. However, one of the things they typically say is that the 300, 350, 400, 500, that's kind of their bread and butter, even though that they're involved in the higher
for sure
prices. So
for sure, because there's not always somebody that's going to be able to afford that $2 million home, and so that is the main market. The anywhere between $300,000 to $450,000. I would say that's the biggest price point for everybody in the area. They're definitely the homes that are going the fastest from what I watch.
The bread and butter of the work.
Yeah.
So you mentioned just a quick word on Dallas. What about Dallas? What's happening in Dallas? Based on what your daughter's saying.
There's a lot of stuff going on up there too. I was just there for Labor Day. I always get Labor Day and Memorial Day mixed up, but I was just there for Labor Day weekend, and it's really got a lot of growing communities for sure. Like I was on the north side of Dallas, so it's just really growing. I was on the McKinney side, so I saw houses going up everywhere. So, there's expansion everywhere in Texas because everybody's wanting to come to Texas. So we're not going to have any land left before long.
So probably a good time to be in real estate, you think?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
What does your daughter think about you being a realtor, by the way?
Well,
now, is this your oldest daughter?
I have 4 daughters.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I have 4 daughters, and they really like it, Yeah, they're really excited.
So there you got 4 additional potential clients coming up as they buy homes.
Yes. Well, my first daughter already has a home, but she is planning. I don't think her 5-year plan is working out because she did buy her house during the pandemic, so she got a great deal on it with a very low interest rate. But her plan was to only stay there for 5 years, but I don't think her 5-year plan is going to work out.
What are some of the things that a company, let's say like eXp Realty, when you first start, I'm sure you had a lot of questions. You won't go through the rigors of getting all the license and that sort of thing and training. But what are some of the things this company tells you to be able to, or even other real estate professionals that you run into and friends, what are some of the things they tell you to be able to be successful and, hey, don't get discouraged when this happens? But what are some of the keys and the main points that they drive home and they say, Sarah, you got to make sure you do this or that?
Well, social media. I mean, that's just, it's the way to go. They everywhere you go says social media, social media, social media. You have got to get on social media. You have to do every aspect of social media. So, I mean, for any realtor, for sure, social media is the way to go.
And Sarah, before we close this segment, what else do you want people to know?
That you can
call Sarah.
Yeah, you can call me anytime at 832-344-8340. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on all of them.
And Sarah, what's the phone number again?
832-344-8340.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Let's talk to Chris Sears. He's the president of a company called J. Parr Real Estate. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Bill.
Here you are. So since you were here last, and it's been a while, I don't know, 8 months or so, give or take, let's tell people what you're doing now because your role is a little bit different at J. Parr Real Estate.
Yeah, so I think last time I was on the show, it was my wife and I own the J. Parr brand in Houston. It's a franchise. We started 4 years ago. We've grown in 4 years from the 2 of us to 500 agents in Houston. And since then, I've taken over as the president and CEO of J. Parr, which has 31 offices outside of Houston in Texas. We have about 2,700 agents in Texas and then another 1,800 in 24 states.
Let's go back to the number. How many agents are in Houston with J. Parr?
500.
500. So as I'm thinking, I was talking about leadership earlier. As a leader, that's a lot of agents just in this area.
Certainly.
Let's tell people some of the things that you do as a leader to keep on top of things and stay managed in terms of time and how you get your job done.
Well, leadership is first self-leadership. It comes from self-discipline and then loving what you do. So when you're able to manage your own mindset first.
Starts there, right?
It starts there. Then you're able to share that same mindset with others. And it's a heart of service. If I'm here to serve anybody I come across, first my family, then my agents, then the people we serve, that mindset translates to everything I do. So the real focus is being my best in order that I may be the best for my agents and my community. And, I read every day, I meditate every day, I pray every day, and then I go out and commit every day to the vision that I have day by day, one commitment at a time. So that's how it happens.
And going way back, you've been in real estate now how many years? Quite a few.
Yeah, going on my 28th year.
And has that all been in Houston?
Yes.
What inspired you those many years ago to even start in real estate? Just curious.
That's a good question. The inspiration actually was not conventional. So I was putting myself through college. I was a professional ballroom dancer, and I was teaching.
I know when I saw you, I said, "There's a professional ballroom dancer." No,
right, right. Just kidding. So edit. No, so I was a professional ballroom dancer, and I was teaching people how to dance, and that's how I was making money. And one of my students actually owned a real estate company, and she said, "Look, you're really good with people. If you decide you want to do this, I'll pay for your classes if you come work with us." And so I said, "Well, I'm going to get my real estate license for free. Might as well." And so I did that. Went to work for her and her husband, who had 12 agents at the time in the Tanglewood area. And I made just over $100,000 my first year at 21 years old, part-time as a college student. And so guess what I did?
Full-time.
I went full-time. I said, forget college. I'm going headlong into it. Yep.
And $100,000 27 years ago is now $5 million.
It's crazy, right?
It's crazy. I mean, think of the how things have changed, but that's exciting. The ballroom. Do you still ballroom dance for fun?
Yes.
So here, that's something that you really love.
Yeah.
And it's good for you were talking about mind, body, and having the right mindset. Dancing and moving in general, all the things you meant, people that practice yoga, all the Tai Chi and all these things, the mind and body. It's important that we do some kind of thing. And
That's
music
true.
and dancing, and you're on it.
100%.
So let's tell people, how in the world did you build this area, the Houston area, to have so many agents? Because, I mean, we already said there's a lot of agents. We all know this in Houston, Texas. There's many other brokers out there of all different kinds.
Right.
How do you get them to be a part of JPAR?
Well, I mean, to me, that's real simple, because my focus is that the agent is the business owner, not the brokerage. And if we treat an agent as a business owner and show them how to be their own brand, be the CEO of their own brand, provide them the tools, the ecosystem necessary to actually be their best at serving the client well, because that's what their business is. It's a service business. If we give them all of that, then they go out and they live out their brand. We show them actually how to build a sellable book of business for themselves. Now you're talking about something very different than what has traditionally been talked about in the real estate industry over the past 20 or 30 years. What you're talking about is elevating the agent as a brand and then helping them live out that brand one consumer transaction and relationship at a time. And so really our brokerage is only good for the tools and the ecosystem it gives the agent to live out the brand. The consumer is not going to do business with the agent because they're at JPAR or because they're at one of our competing brokerages. They're going to do business with the agent because they know, like, and trust the agent. And that is exactly how we built this company, and that's how we're going to continue to build. We understand our role, and our role has nothing to do with being out in public going, look at JPAR, look at JPAR. It has everything to do with being behind that agent and serving them well to show them how to be their best.
So let's say someone came to you and says, Chris, I just got my license. I have a feel for this. I have a passion for real estate. I have a passion for helping others. What are some of the first things that you tell that new agent to do, no matter what their age? Maybe they just got out of college. Maybe they whatever. What do you tell them?
Sure. Well, we actually if they want to align with our brokers, they have to go through mentorship for the first 6 transactions. Really, they need to do that on their own to get a foundational blueprint for their business. So they get coupled with an agent success coach in our brokerage, and that agent success coach walks them through their first 3 weeks of building their foundation, understanding the MLS, understanding market statistics, understanding their business plan, and then that agent success coach pairs them with a mentor. We have 15 mentors inside our brokerage. The agent gets to pick their mentor, and now the agent success coach and the mentor work with that agent together through their 6th transaction. And then they graduate the mentorship program. So in that 6 transaction process, they go through 12 levels of building their business up. And so I'm not going to get into all 12 levels here, but I'll tell you, they have to have that kind of structure and plan, because when you get into this business, you're drinking through a fire hose of information. You're being bombarded on all sides by people trying to market to you, telling you use this tool, use that tool. Hey, buy my this, buy my that.
Influence, all this.
And sifting through all of that and getting to a place where you can actually focus is the key, because execution is what it takes. This is a business where if you don't actually get to the closing table, you're not going to get paid. And you have a burn rate. I mean, if we're talking business ownership, we're talking burn rate. We're talking what are your expenses and what is your income coming in? How long can you last before your next check, right? And so what we try to do is minimize that time frame between the time they start launch and the time they have their checks coming in that sustain their business.
Give us an idea, other than the Houston area, the areas that you're a part of and your company reaches out to, what's happening in other real estate markets that we should know about?
So really across the industry, we're seeing that the agent role is shifting. Now, I can talk about the markets. The market is the market. The cost of home ownership is up 77% year over year, largely in part due to the
insurance,
the factors that you and Jamie
inflation.
talked about. Yeah, that's right. But the thing is the role of the agent is shifting. And what's very important for the consumer to understand is that having an agent as your fiduciary, whether it be a buyer's agent representing you as a buyer or a tenant, or a listing agent representing you as a seller, an agent as a fiduciary, somebody who is actually a trusted advisor to you that is paying attention to being world-class at their craft and understanding what's shifting is critical for you as a consumer. You absolutely need to partner with an agent that you trust, know, and like, that's competent and that can guide you through the complexities of the transaction. So, with all of the rise in interest rates, inflation, insurance, et cetera, hey, you better have an agent that understands how to navigate all of those things and has the relationships at their disposal to contribute to you as a consumer. When you do that, you're going to be way ahead of the game in buying or selling real estate.
Why do you love what you do?
Why do I love what I do? Because I love helping people. I happen to be good at this. The fact is I wake up every day and I in my prayer time, I say, I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference in the lives of others. And the how is a matter of the day. And it just so happens that I've devoted more than half my life to being excellent at my craft, which is serving consumers and agents in this industry. And so this is just the vehicle of my why. That's it. It drives me.
Before we close the segment, Chris, what else do you want people to know?
I want people to know that this is a service business, not a sales business. If you're focused on sales and transactions and you are in a relationship with an agent who's focused on selling and is transactional, it's time for both of you to shift. What I want you to understand is service means just that. Serving people well. And so if you are of the same mindset, then please reach out to a JPAR agent. You can go to jpar.com. If you're an agent, you can go to jparready.com to see what we're all about and our value proposition. And anybody can reach me at 281-827-3466.
The number again is
281-827-3466.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much, Bill. It's my pleasure.
If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit stewartinsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance, with a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers. Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risk. Here he is, once again, John Bramlett. Hey, John.
Hi, Bill.
Well, here we are. Insurance comes up a lot, especially at the beginning of the show. This show.
Well, it's everybody's favorite topic.
It is, and it's awesome that we get to touch upon it at the beginning of this show, and here we are near the second half, and we're going to talk about it again. The insurance geeks are going crazy.
Maybe we ought to change the name of the show to, instead of Real Estate Matters, Insurance Matters.
Well, there you go. That's for hour number 2.
Hour number 2.
Or
okay.
vice versa, whatever. So what should we talk about today?
Business owners' policies.
Yeah.
Business owners' policies.
And what kind of business? Real estate or anything?
We're talking,
Okay.
well, they're business owners' policies or business owners' plans, or sometimes known as a BOP, are available for any type of business or certain types of businesses in the industry. We're talking specifically about real estate. So what a business owner's policy does is it allows you, depending upon some factors that we'll talk about, allows you to combine your commercial property and your general liability plans into one, and many times you can save some money on the premium with that combination.
And this is a good time. People do want to save money as everything is going up. We want to look for ways to make it more cost efficient.
Absolutely, and sometimes they're overlooked coverage that can really be for the money a real great value, because if something does come about, it could be pretty catastrophic. So it protects against third-party liabilities, protects against property damage, protects if you've got a lawsuit over that injury or a lawsuit over that property damage. If somebody feels like that there was an advertising injury, that you did something, said something, wrote something, promoted something, posted something that damaged them as an individual or professional, it helps with some of that coverage. And then just some very simple things. So you're having an open house and somebody trips and falls at the open house, and there's somebody that you're hosting, or it's your open house that you're hosting and somebody trips and falls. There could be a claim filed against you, a suit filed against you, and it can help with some of those costs. If somebody's in your office and they trip and fall, a guest in your office, a prospective client, that can help with that. Going back to the open house scenario, you're staging an open house and you break a vase, a camera falls off the wall, you break somebody's television. It helps again with some of that cost of the replacement. Again, somebody feels like you made a false claim. So let's say you have you're in Chris's situation, and I know this wouldn't happen with his excellent training, but if you're in a situation where you have multiple agents that work for you as a broker, and somebody says something that could be viewed as disparaging on social media, or they post something that could be seen as disparaging on social media, and there's a file against you, a claim against you, it helps, with that coverage. Let's say you find some copy about a neighborhood or about a type of home that really makes sense, that you want to use that language, but you don't have the rights to use that language. That could come back. If somebody says, wait a minute, I copyrighted that, and you're using it without my permission, that's going to cost you. Or you found a great photograph. Hey, I found this photograph online. It'll be perfect to use for what we're trying to market or promote, and you don't have the rights to that photograph. That could come back to haunt you. So that's where the general liability coverage can come into play.
This last week I found 2 things that I thought were disparaging on Facebook, on posts that I did not make but others made. I defriended them. Debunked them, defriended them, unfriend, whatever you do.
Well, they're lucky that you defriended them versus somebody didn't file a suit against them, and that's where
right.
And that's where it comes into play. If you have office furniture, you have office equipment, so you've got couches and desks and chairs and servers and computers and printers in your office, and there's a damage to that property. That's where the commercial property aspect can come into play. So you can buy each plan separately. You can buy a commercial property insurance plan separately from a general liability. But if you meet some certain criteria, there is an advantage to considering both. And when you're working with, work with a licensed insurance advisor, work with somebody that has an expertise in your field, specifically in our case, wanting folks to work with folks that understand, insurance advisors that understand real estate, then they're going to walk you through a series of questions. What is your employee staff count? How many folks do you have working with you, whether they be 1099 or W-2? What is the staff size? How many offices do you have? How big are the offices? what services do you provide? What is your gross commissionable revenue? So they'll look at all those items, and if you can meet some certain criteria as a real estate broker, you've got a chance to have a business owner's policy.
And we're talking about a real estate broker, right?
Yes.
So the real estate broker, as I think about it, has to have several policies in place.
They do. I mean, as a broker, I would think at bare minimum you would want to have an errors and omissions, so the professional liability in the sense of business malpractice. You would want to have general liability and commercial property. You would want to have cyber liability. I think the bare minimum. And then if you have a significant number of staff, then you would want to consider workers' compensation as well. One other point to come across is if you're a realtor and you have your license with a brokerage, if your broker doesn't have errors and omissions, we can write that for you. But as a broker or as a realtor, you might want to consider, regardless of what your broker has, you might want to consider your own general liability. So in case you're showing a home and somebody that's your client gets hurt, there's a chance that you might be sued as well. So to have that additional coverage. So that's just a piece to consider. It is expensive now. I don't anticipate we see any significant drops. The insurance companies are struggling financially right now because of the number of claims that we've seen across the board over the last several years. But working with an independent agent like Stewart Insurance and somebody like Sonia, who has access to a variety of companies, they can come together and if you're willing to invest a few calories on sharing what's important with you and what's important for your coverage, then we can come back and find whatever the most reasonable policy is at this point, the most reasonable plan it is. And it could be that, I'm going to self-insure a lot this year, so I just need something very conservative. We can work with you and find that as long as you're comfortable with that decision. Or if you're a risk averse and you want to have as broad a coverage as possible, we can work with you and find that as well.
And certainly a Stewart Insurance distinction is versus, as I get all kinds of advertisement for insurance online, entrees and things like that, you can call Stewart Insurance, talk to a human being, and discuss your needs, what you need, what you want to take care of yourself, and so on, regardless of any kind of policy that you have.
Absolutely. I mean, it's important to us that our clients feel like that they're properly insured, and that could be, as I mentioned, a very conservative coverage, or it could be very broad coverage. But the important thing is you understand the risk that you're taking on as an individual versus the risk you're placing on the insurance company. As long as you're comfortable with that decision, then in our world, you're properly insured. And from a real estate business perspective, it's important to work with somebody that understands your industry and working with somebody that is providing plans that were written and policies that were written specifically for your industry. It's not just a general liability or an errors and omissions plan that has real estate, typed on the top of it. It's actually plans that are written specifically for the industry.
And John, what else should we know?
Well, if you do want to be properly insured, whether it be for your own personal insurance, so home, wind, auto, flood, motorcycle, we can help you with that. And you can reach us at 866-798-2827. If you're a real estate professional, independent title and attorney agent, lender, property management firm, and you'd like to have comprehensive business insurance coverage, we can help you with that as well. And you can reach us at 866-798-2827. And
reminding people, you're not only helping people here in Houston, but you're helping far and wide right here in the United States.
Yes, we have clients. We have both personal lines and business clients all over the U.S. That's correct.
Again, the number, John, is
866-798-2827.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
I say it all the time. Stay close to your Stewart Title Business Development Officer. Indeed, they are resources for you. Here she is, Joyce Eisenberg with Stewart Title. Joyce, let's tell people the offices for Stewart Title that you serve.
Hi, Bill. How you doing? You can always find me over at Stewart Title Katy and Stewart Title Fulshire, and I know you love the Fulshire area, so I wanted to tell your viewers or your listeners, Forever Fulshire out at the Irene Stern Community Center on November 4th, and it's going to be recycle, bring clothes for KCM donation, and a shred day, and just a make Fulshire beautiful day.
That sounds pretty good because Fulsher, they have a lot of things that are going on. You're in close contact with the Chamber of Commerce, all the real estate professionals there. But I mean, I remember one time they had a parade in July 4th, and they had bands and all sorts of things.
Lots of fun stuff happening in Katy and Fulsher.
And people can close their transactions at either of your two offices.
Any of our 20 offices or my 2, Katy and Fulsher.
And if someone wants to reach out to you to do just that, Joyce, in your two offices, what should they do?
They can always reach me on my cell. It's 832-389-4306. That's 832-389-4306.
There you are. Thank you, Joyce, for being with us. Kevin Davidson is right here. He's got a podcast called Kevin's Corner. I was just on it recently. Kevin, let's tell people you do so many things to help Stewart Title as a business development officer, but some of the things you do, like you're out there reaching out, you have the podcast. If someone wants to be on or know about the podcast and hear it, what should they do?
You just go to YouTube, search Kevin's Corner Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective, and all 20 of the episodes pop up. I just started doing this a few months ago, and yes, the episode that Bill is on that was recorded last Friday is available right now as we speak.
That's right. It's free of charge.
Everything's free of charge with me.
That's right. Because we're dedicated, as this show is, to help people inform, entertain, and inspire, just like the announcer says. But that's true. We try to do that every week.
Yes. Basically, I get up every morning and try and do my best to help agents grow their business. And that's value is what they need, not dinner or donuts.
What about lunch?
Well, if they ask nicely, but they need help growing their business.
And we'll remind people, you've been on before. Let's tell them your two offices.
I represent the Richmond office and Sugarland.
Richmond and Sugarland. And how can people reach you, Kevin Davidson, from Kevin's Corner and Stewart Title?
832-654-0527 or kevin.davidson@stewart.com.
Thanks for being with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
She's back. Jamie Fallon.
I'm back.
I'm back. You are back, Jamie. Let's tell people as we wind up the show what else you want them to know.
Well, I wanted to piggyback on what Chris was saying about just the lifestyle that we lead is insane. And so it's important to have an outlet. As a real estate agent, broker, residential developer, I have to have that outlet. And Chris said, he meditates, he prays, he does this. I go to the Church of CrossFit. So that's my outlet.
Who's the pastor over there?
Me, myself, and I.
CrossFit. And in case you went too fast for everybody, that means you exercise. You have a dedication to physical fitness.
And so it's important when you have a partner in your side, whether it's real estate, whether it's insurance, whether it's being a radio show host, you have to have somebody that has a strong mind. And typically people that have strong minds have strong bodies. And so with Chris, his mind is honed in because he meditates. My mind is honed in because I meditate when I'm working out. That is my outlet. And so you need that in your life.
Sounds good to me. Jamie Fallon. Jamie, let's tell people once again how they can reach you.
You can find us on nextgen.realestate.com and jamiefallon.com at 281-763-9825. Again, that's 281-763-9825.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Bill. Appreciate it.
Sarah Goetz is back. She is with eXp Realty. Well, Sarah, here we are winding things up at the show. Let's tell people, what else would you like them to know?
If you're a new real estate agent, just go out there and try to find as many contacts that you can find to link up with to help you grow your business. It's very important. Just as I found Kevin, the reason why I'm here, he's helped me grow my business so much and my knowing what I need to do. So I just need, find those people, those connections that you can get in touch with that will build a relationship and help you grow and build your business.
You are making some connections. You're on the right track, especially when you reach out to Kevin and all of us at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance. Let's tell people, Sarah, how they can reach you.
832-344-8340, or you can find me on Facebook also.
In fact, I sent you an invitation to be my friend on Facebook. Once again, your number is?
832-344-8340.
Now, you don't ballroom dance, I hear, but you're the country and western dancing?
I can country and western dance.
Well, there you are.
Quite well, but
maybe we promoted
I
some
don't get to do it very often, but I can do it
How about that? Well, there's some dancing going on as we speak. Here he's back. Chris Sears, JPAR Realty. Chris, it's you and me winding this thing up. How do we close the show? What else do you want people to know?
Again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm going to stand on my soapbox and talk about how important it is to link up with a real estate agent that you trust, that's competent, and that has a service mindset. It's going to be the differentiating factor in you as a consumer buying and selling real estate. Now more than ever, the agent is important because the agent is at the center of the transaction. And if you don't have a great real estate agent and you are an agent and you don't have a broker who thinks like that, it's time for you to shift. And so that's what I have to say today.
And this time of year, I love this time of year when the weather gets a little bit cooler, and it's also a super planning time. It's a time where myself and many others, maybe yourself too, it's a time to think, to evaluate, just like you're saying, you evaluate, you look ahead, you say, hey, how can I modify this to be a little bit better? How can I be a better servant in my role, in my things that I do in life?
That's correct. Man, you know what? You teed it up perfectly. We didn't plan this, but I just spent the entire weekend doing my 2024 vision and outline for our company. And I'm actually sharing tomorrow. I'll be in McAllen, Texas, sharing at the Greater McAllen Association of Realtors that very thing.
Send me the link to that if you record it. In the meantime, Chris, let's tell people how they can reach you.
281-827-3466, jpar.com. If you're an agent, it's jparready.com.
And if someone's in McAllen, Texas, how do they reach you?
Same way. jparready.com.
It's a trick question.
Yeah. Same phone number.
And that is?
281-827-3466.
And thank you for being with us, Chris Sears. And thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik, together with John Bramlett, all of us at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance. We appreciate you listening. Check us out next week for show 494. In fact, that's a palindrome. Either way, it's 494. That's right. Or go to stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
When it comes to real estate, everything matters. Whether you're a broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, for informative and entertaining information when it comes to owning, buying, and selling real estate, tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. If you're a real estate professional, then listen closely. Cyber criminals are targeting our industry. They are impersonating real estate professionals, homebuyers, sellers, and title agents. Their goal is to gain access to your inboxes, computers, and clients so they can steal information and funds. Does your business insurance offset these risks? Not sure? Contact Stewart Insurance to determine if your business is properly insured. Visit StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827. Visit StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.